Bushwick Bill's son, Young No, in the building,
Hey,
man.
It's love, man. Shout out to the people, man. It's Young No, a.k.a. Lil Bushwick. See the Chuckwick himself, you know what I'm saying? Shout out G-Man, man. We been rocking. I'm glad to meet him. It's love.
Yeah, man, I've known your dad for a long time, R.I.P. Bushwick, man, but he was a friend of the show. And it's kind of crazy because, you know, growing up, listening to the Ghetto Boys, and then you get on the radio, and then they're your homies. It's kind of like...
It's like, it's full circle. He's like, bro, I'm listening to Mind Playing Tricks on Me in my spare time.
Yeah.
I actually know the person rapping that This Year Halloween Fell on the Weekend, the most iconic verses on the song.
That is the most iconic, man.
Man.
Especially when he laid that throwing in Fifth Ward bees on him.
Man, then I speeded up the pace, took a look back. He's right before my face. Like, that was a song really speaking on mental health before mental health was even a thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So growing up, obviously in your house, it's all been about music.
Always.
Before your dad was in the Ghetto Boys, did he ever talk to you about what he listened to before he even started rapping?
Yes, like he was into like horrorcore, like Edgar Allan Poe, but then he was into like different like groups like the Police and
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, like Mamas and the Papas. Like he was really like a historian of music because he grew up in the era of like in New York when it was breakdancing, graffiti, and all that. So when he came to Houston, he already had that whole swagger of like knowing the elements because he's a whole immigrant. He came from Jamaica into New York, so when you come into a new country, you're trying to learn everything about that country.
Yeah.
And everything about the music scene. So he really dug deep into all the elements of hip hop.
Man,
breakdance, everything.
Do you feel like you feel him whenever you're flowing, you're doing something on stage?
Man, definitely. I feel like a vessel completely when I'm in the studio because that's the person. My producer is here with me right now that I work with hands on. Like he makes all my beat. Alan Crash, he do all my production, and like. When we cook up in the studio, everything feel natural, organic, and I just know like I'm doing my purpose because I know I'm like it doesn't feel extra. It doesn't feel like I have to try hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't feel like, oh man, I gotta live up to the name.
Oh, a pressure. Oh, I gotta make a song and that amount, make that song like this, or make a Ghetto Boys try. It's like no, my pops always tell me the people gonna support you and rock with you. Just be yourself, and I've always been myself. So I'm like that's nothing.
At what age did you figure out that's what I want to do? I want to do with my pops. I want to get on stage. I want to, you know.
I can say it really kicked in like when I was younger. I already was writing like. 5 years old, the first time going to his studio he had in Sharpstown Mall. So that was like my first interaction with music, with recording, but I wasn't like aware of what I was doing. But as I got older to 7 years old, I was like actually started doing poetry. So I was writing poetry since I was 7.
Wow.
And so I actually took music seriously after high school because now I'm like, okay, I know what I want to do now. And so I really started doing shows and crowd surfing and getting booked for shows outside the city and stuff. And then it really took off because it's like I embodied what I was creating.
Do you feel like you have to let them know you're Bushwick's son when you perform somewhere, or you think because of social media and all that they just already know?
I feel like it's gonna take two because it's a legacy thing. Because I feel like my dad been around for so long. It's before I even was existing. So it's like your name, it's gonna outweigh everything. Because it's 30-some years and I'm 26 years old. So when you started your career, like I was just barely being born.
Man,
so it's just like a whole experience, like seeing people like twice my age rap lyrics back to me that was created before I was even existing, be like, y'all don't even understand what this is for me. This was 1991. I was born in 1996. Yeah. And I'm rapping his lyrics and these people saying they back. I'm like, bro, this is crazy. Like, man, it's wild.
Wow. Talking to Young No in the building, y'all. Let them know where you from, how you grew up.
Man, I'm from Richmond, Mo City. I grew up like on the south side of Houston. I moved around, went to Harlem Clark, and I went to Madison High School, went to Elkins High School. Even on the north side, I went to Nimitz. So I went to every district. I moved around all over the city. So I have a diverse background and scenery of so many people I knew because I went to every different district almost.
Did you feel like when you were in school, you like, do y'all know who my dad is? Because my kids always did. My kids always did that to me.
I wasn't aware. I wasn't really aware yet until like we did the Unsung thing, the Ghetto Boys Unsung. And it's like, okay, I'm like, all right, now I'm starting to realize because we going shopping to get me clothes for the show and everything, and people like stopping him in Rice Village like, yo, this is Bushwick Bill. I'm like what are they talking?
Yeah, you couldn't. You seen Bushwick Bill out. You knew who he was. It's not like
it wasn't.
Could that be him? Or you knew it was him.
You knew for sure. Oh, that's Bushwick Bill.
Yeah.
And instantly, it's like he's a people person. You know, Pops. He gonna go up and like talk to you, chop it up with you. He ain't gonna brush you off. He actually gonna hold a conversation with you until the conversation is done.
Yeah. So I just showed you a picture of that, and I don't know. It was crazy because I was going through some of my memories on Facebook, and I was going through some pictures, and I saw one with Bushwick. Yeah. So I saw that, and it's crazy, and you came up here. I showed you the picture. They're looking at it now on the screen. But man, classic. Yeah, man, Bushwick. That picture that we took, that iconic picture right there in the studio, he was actually wanted to come in and be part of the show because he was doing some radio. He started doing some radio
but
before
he actually wanted to do that because you know how he loved music. He actually knew what he was talking about when it came to songs. We had play an old like classic song on a radio, something like that, and he'd be like, "Oh, that sample came from this and that." Or Tupac sampled this on I Get Around, and I'm like, man, how did this man just know from listening to a song where the sample came from?
That's
so I knew
crazy.
sitting on the podcast with you or sitting on the radio with you, I know y'all gonna have a great time and really just bond because y'all really love music.
Yeah. Like I said, for me, it's kind of like people ask me, well, how was it to hang out with people you grew up listening to, right? So I kind of look at it this way. I'm like, okay, let's say you're a basketball player, and you grew up watching LeBron James. Next thing you know, you get drafted and you're on LeBron James' team and y'all homies. And
like,
that's kind of like what for
that's
me.
That feeling. It's like, bro, I watched you, I listened to you growing up.
And now we're cool.
And now we actually kicking it. Where I can just call you, say, yo, Bill, what you up to today? Yep. It's like, bro, this is crazy. I was just listening to you on my radio as a kid with my mom and my pops.
Yep.
And now I get to actually kick it with you on some homeboy.
Man, it's crazy. I know you brought the
Bushwick
cool cup,
sir.
The cool cup juice
We
there.
We got an exotic pop collab. We got a Bushwick mango cool cup juice. I made sure mango because my roots have been Jamaican, and so I had to pay roots to Kingston, Jamaica, Trenchtown, my people from. So we had to do it right. Had to do pops right.
You had to bring the Chucky too.
And I got the Chucky with me, so we got the Chucky dog on the cool cup juice, and I got Chucky with me in real life to see the Chuckwick, man. We got to keep that legacy going because
I've always wanted a Chucky dog, man. I wanted to hang about
everybody see it. They be like, yo.
I seen one the other day. They had him hanging out the window.
They gonna be swinging with the little Chucky dog. That's why I'm like, I gotta let people know where it started though. That's why I make sure I bring him around, bring Chucky with me where I go. Cause I'm like, a lot of people don't know Bushwick brought Chucky to hip hop. People that watched it and grew up on the songs they knew, but a lot of people right now in the generation, they like, oh, the Chucky came from. I'm like, no, my pops was that originator when it came to that.
Man, so during the last couple years of your pop's life, man, how was y'all relationship, man? How was it,
I mean, the beautiful thing about that is like, me and my pops had an up and down relationship throughout my life. Like, my mom's raised me my whole life. And, like, he was there off and on. Because, like, he on the road and he got other kids and he not always in Houston. So, like, when I got older, I'm actually able to spend time with him and not worry about being late to school or having to go to school, this and that. So, like, as I got older, we bonded more and more. Before he passed, though, that's, like, the bond father-son bond I wanted my whole life we had.
Yeah.
So, it was beautiful for me because, like, I got to have something I never had with him, and it didn't have to wait till after he passed and had like to think like, oh, what if my dad felt like this, or how he felt. Like, he told me how he felt about me. So it's like when I'm doing what I'm doing now, it's like I know my purpose because he really was transparent with me. Like, look, this is what it is. This is how I feel about you, and this is what you got land for you. Like when our last interview with Isaiah Carey on Fox 26, he didn't even let me. He told me, Javon, I don't want you to speak because you don't know how long your pops might be alive. So I want you to actually listen and take heed to what I'm saying, so you get to know me.
Wow.
So I was quiet that whole interview. Whenever I have a self-reflection moment, I'd be like, man, let me go back to the interview.
I was gonna say, do you go back and watch videos on YouTube?
I go back to interviews.
That was my next question.
I learned so much because like he left so much wisdom throughout his interviews and throughout his life and through people he met. Even if I have some like slip across my mind, I call somebody else with him forever and they be like, yo, this the advice I would give you on this and that because I know for a fact this is what you should do because they experienced it and they knew for a fact like, bro, this is the right path to lead you and your pops want to know the other way.